Okay, we will go ahead and play our welcoming video right now. Okay, we'll go ahead and start introductions right now. Hello, everyone. My name is Leanne. My pronouns are she, her. I am one of the youth leaders from Youth Empowered to Act, a youth leadership program at the LGBTQ Center of Orange County. Thank you for attending this year's 2022 LGBTQ Youth Convening. We are excited to have so many youth and community members from Orange County and beyond to participate in today's first session on mental health and education.
Hello everyone, my name is Dan and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am one of the youth leaders from the Youth Empowered to Act, the youth leadership program at the LGBTQ Center of Orange County.
Hello, I'm Liam. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm part of the youth leaders as well. I'm a junior at El Toro High School, and I'm looking forward to these programs for you guys.
Before we get started with introductions, please visit our online conference program for more information about this event, located on our conference page. The program contains additional information such as conference workshop details, information on presenters, upcoming events, and local and national resources. And I will post that link in the chat. Now for introductions. Please take a moment to introduce yourself in the chat, sharing your username, pronouns, and please then add them to your Zoom username, where you are participating from, school or affiliation, and lastly, what you are looking forward to most from this conference. So just you can go ahead and do that. And thank you everyone for introducing yourselves in the chat. It's so exciting to meet every one of you. We really appreciate you and thank you for being here. Okay. So we can go ahead and move on to our next slide. We hope to make this conference as accessible and as possible for our attendees, presenters, volunteers, and staff. Accessibility can help promote values of diversity and social responsibility and can serve us in the work of making our conferences, schools, and community spaces more equitable and just. We have several accessibility options today. For ASL interpretation, we are grateful for our volunteer, Chris, to support with sign language throughout the opening and closing of the conference. Please spotlight Chris in order to view. If you would require live transitioning and captioning, we have automated transcription during the conference and workshop. Please select the live transcription button to turn on captioning. And for English translation today, Cecilia is offering English to Spanish translation. Please select the interpretation button below on your Zoom settings to turn on this feature. And then we can talk a little bit about the LGBTQ Center and some of the programs that we offer. As mentioned earlier, we are part of Youth Empowered to Act, a youth leadership group from the LGBTQ Center of Orange County. The LGBTQ Center of Orange County's mission is to advocate on behalf of the Orange County lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer and questioning, or LGBTQ, community and provide services that ensure its well-being and positive identity. Some of the services that the LGBTQ Center of Orange County provides are youth programs such as Youth Empowered to Act, community programs and events, mental health and emotional wellness, trans health and wellness, HIV prevention and awareness, immigration services, advocacy and education, in addition to volunteering opportunities. And then our next slide, we would like to, so we want to take a moment to do a land and labor acknowledgement. We want to recognize that the land we are on is Native land. We acknowledge that this is a way to express gratitude and appreciation to those whose territory you reside on, and as a way of honoring the Indigenous people who have been living and working on the land from time immemorial. We also acknowledge that the ways in which labor has been forced upon people of African descent for more than 400 years. It is important to understand the longstanding history that has brought you to reside on this land, and we encourage you to seek understanding of your place within that history. We celebrate the resilience and strength demonstrated by Indigenous people and descendants of Africa. We carry our ancestors in us, and we are continuously called to be better as we move forward. Most of Orange County is located on the shared territory of the Ahashimen and Tongva Native tribes, as well as the Kizh, Kumeyaay, Chumash, and Payum-Ku-Wichum Native tribes. If you would like to see which Native land you reside on, please click on the link that I will put in the chat and you can enter your city. Thank you, and we will now go over community guidelines for today. Moving along, we do want to set some community agreements as we move into the conference. Community agreements are an aspiration or collection vision for how we want to be in relation to one another. These are some community agreements for attendees to feel safe, supported, open, productive while participating today. So some of the community agreements are: be mindful of others, be understanding and supportive, respect pronouns and ask if you are unsure. Individual stories stay in Zoom, but we can take learned lessons out into the world. Silence is okay. Listening is also active learning. Throw glitter, not shade. Be polite, don't be shady. Don't yuck my yum, which means don't be rude, just be nice. Emphasize encouragement, since it can be hard to be confident and contribute. Always ask for consent first. Be open to saying, I don't know, can you elaborate? Give content warnings when delving into potentially sensitive topics. Thank you so much, everyone. And I would love to pass it off to Dan, who will introduce our mental health support for today.
Thank you, Leanne. Hello, everyone. So another thing that we want to add is that we have counselors who are going to support throughout the entirety of the conference. If you need a space to take a breath, decompress, or rest, please do not hesitate to reach out to Leslie, as they are our counselors for today. Please let your room or chat monitors know if you need to speak to a counselor, and we will link you up right away. Counselors will be available in this exact Zoom group while the workshops are taking place. If you need extra support, Please exit your breakout session to join the main session and ask for support. Now we will present our first speaker for the day. We are pleased to announce one of our opening speakers, Carl Jordan. Carl Jordan is the Executive President and Regional Executive for U.S. Bank in Southern California. Carl has been in the banking industry for more than 43 years, including 29 years with U.S. Bank. He has served in various roles that include branch management, small business sales management, district management, and regional management of the U.S. Bank Southern California branches. Carl leads the consumer and business banking division for the Southern California region, which includes the Los Angeles, Orange County, Inland Empire, and San Diego markets. He oversees 288 branches, more than 1,600 team members, and a total of 23 billion in deposits. Please give it up for Carl in the chat.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate it. And it's a real honor to be here today for the conference that I know US Bank is sponsoring. And also just, I'm both here representing myself personally and also US Bank as my company, because I've been very involved with the center. I was chairman for 3 years and was actively involved on the board for over 5 years. So, and I love this conference, and it's a real honor to be presenting. Oh, you know what? I should have started saying my pronouns, which are he, him, and his. So, as I said, I'm here representing both myself and my company at US Bank, which I'm extremely proud of our company. Not only that I'm allowed to bring my true self to work, but highly encouraged to do so, and especially as a senior leader setting an example. And that is just, for me, knowing that I'm open, and I'm very open at work, about that, I've created a lot of great conversations that normally wouldn't have happened many years ago. So people asking a lot of questions on how it impacts work, and I've shared that very much that it really hasn't. It's actually really helped me be a true, authentic, candid leader, bringing myself to work. So the bank does also really just a fantastic job, not only sponsoring me, but our entire organization. Several years back, we created a business resource group, which I know many of you are familiar with, where we named that Spectrum. That's where all employees across the nation are welcome and encouraged to join, which creates understanding through ongoing education, which also creates advocacy in US Bank, including in our communities, with our families, and with our friends. So we have several members that serve in the local gay and lesbian community centers across the entire nation. So we get together on calls and talk about what we learned and how we can bring that back into our local communities. Volunteerism through financial education and seminars, LGBTQ plus activities, including pride parades, which is so interesting. The more that people learn and they advocate, pride parades now are huge for us across the entire country, and we just grow in the number of people that are out there walking with us and something else. And it's really, really been fun to see how that's just been growing over the number of years. So, one of the things I was asked is any advice that you would have for young adults. And, I guess the first thing that I thought of is the importance of your voice, that you have a voice. It's a very, very important voice to keep advocating for our communities, whether it's in politics or schools, work, in homes, and community. It's interesting. I have a lot of conversations at work and at home and with families and everybody else that we're very close to. And it's interesting that I hear all the time, aren't we almost at a place of achieving what we call full neutrality in the LGBTQ community? Our schools, our workplace, and families isn't really, it's just a non-issue for the most part. Right? And I say, boy, there's no doubt we're in a place in our only dream of where we're at now. And I'm sure that you full neutrality yet. We have so much, what we talk about often, which is equality. We've taken huge steps forward. There's still a lot of work to do. And this is where your voice and your action really makes a difference. And just by on how we can advocate and get out there for our communities. Heard that was mentioned was part of today was, which I also call well forth. There's sufficient evidence communities experience greater health disparities, particularly that, and there's still so much work that needs to be done there. The LGBTQ communities are often faced with the stigma and the discrimination within mental health services. I know that I certainly have experienced, as many of you may have in the past. And given those challenges, we need to address our issues with someone that understands, and more importantly, we feel comfortable speaking with and to. I would also add a resource that is also available to all of our families, not just all of us. And I got to tell you, this is where the center has just done a tremendous job, but there's so much more we need to do out in our entire community in Orange County and across the entire country. A good example that I always use when people ask about that. So what's different than going to a normal counselor? And I say, so as an example, you have a transgender student that for example, that can't just go down the street to a local council to share sensitive and personal information, asking for advice and consultation on something that the counselor may not know anything about, right? It's very specialized, and you need to be in a very comfortable space. We're creating more of those, but there's so much more that we need to do there. We need to keep supporting those centers and various programs to provide us this level of support and advocating for more affordable and accessible resources to be available in our schools and in our communities overall. This is just one example that I touched on earlier, where many of your voices and your actions are so critically important. I can go on and on about the importance of your voice and what you do and what we all do collectively together. But just by being here today is certainly shows your commitment to our community and to the communities that we also serve. So lastly, I just want to say, have a wonderful conference. Enjoy today. And I really appreciate the opportunity to kick off today's session. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Carl, for sharing and for always encouraging our youth to share and know their voices. We're always thankful for your support and advocacy. So moving on, we are proud to introduce one of our keynote speakers, Congresswoman Katie Porter, who represents the 45th Congressional District in Orange County, California. She is the first Democrat to be elected to represent the district, which covers most of the South Central Orange County, including Irvine, Tustin, and Lake Forest, along with large portions of Anaheim and Laguna Niguel. Please give it up for Katie Porter.
Hi everyone, this is Congresswoman Katie Porter. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you today for the 2022 LGBTQ Youth Convening. Whether you're a member of the LGBTQ+ community or you're an ally, each person on this call plays an important part in the fight for equality. You're here because you believe in one big thing, that every American, no matter who they love, where they are, or how they identify, should be able to live their life free from discrimination and hate. We are seeing states across the nation revoking liberties for gay, lesbian, and bisexual Americans while criminalizing healthcare, gender-affirming healthcare for trans youth. This is absolutely unacceptable, and I'm working with my colleagues in Congress to stop this assault on LGBTQ+ rights. But we also need to empower leaders at the local level who will join our fight for equality. So let's talk about how you can join the fight. First, vote. Being an informed and active voter is the best way to honor those who have fought for equality and opportunity for all Americans, including the LGBTQ+ community. State and local elections matter, primary elections matter, the midterm elections matter. These are key opportunities to make your voices heard. While you do have to be 18 years old on election day to cast a ballot, if you're 16 or 17 years old now, you can pre-register to vote. Makes it even easier to cast your ballot once you turn 18. Of course, not everyone can vote, but everyone can do their part to be involved. What you're doing here today, learning, organizing, and planning, it is exactly what our nation needs. The LGBTQ Center of Orange County does a fantastic job facilitating these conversations and opportunities, and we need more people taking part in them. Finally, contact your elected leaders. Make calls, write letters, send emails, request meetings, do whatever you can to connect with your officials. Our office gets hundreds of messages from Orange County families every week, and they help us understand what is happening in our community. Please keep up your great work advocating for equality and educating folks here in Orange County. You asked me some excellent questions about my top priorities about mental health and other topics, so I want to make sure I take a moment to answer those. First question, how do I feel about the importance of mental health and access to mental health services, particularly for LGBTQ+ youth? I feel strongly. That's how I feel about it. I'm a member of the Bipartisan Mental Health Caucus. I think it is so important to expand access and reduce costs for mental health care for all Americans, but especially for our LGBTQ+ youth. The Trevor Project found that nearly half of LGBTQ+ youth seriously considered taking their own lives in the past year. The statistic is alarming, but we can do something about it. Mental health care is essential to the well-being of so many Americans, yet for too many, the treatment is costly and out of reach. We have to lower the rising cost of mental health services and treat mental health as healthcare, treat it equally to other types of healthcare services. I'm working right now on legislation to make sure insurance companies follow the law and provide mental health care to our communities. That is especially going to be important to our LGBTQ+ youth who are at higher risk of needing mental health care and often struggle more to get it. Second question, do you feel as though there's a gap in mental health services for the Black, Indigenous, people of color, and LGBTQ+ community? Absolutely. We know that there is a demonstrated need for mental health support and care for the LGBTQ+ community and communities of color, but they have the hardest time in many instances affording and safely getting care. That's why, with the number of LGBTQ+ individuals increasing, our government needs to be familiar with the needs of all Americans, including those who are members of minority groups. Accurate, reliable data is critical to protecting various communities from discrimination, but our government is failing to gather those data. These data can help providers identify and close health inequities in the LGBTQ+ community, including with regard to mental health care. It can help us provide better support in schools for LGBTQ+ kids who experience mental health problems, as we know, at far higher rates than others. I led over 50 of my colleagues in a letter urging the administration to improve its data collection across all aspects of government. That means disentangling sex from gender, expanding response options for sexual orientation, and collecting information on people with intersex status. Third question, what have you done to reduce the jailing of people with mental illness? We need to connect people who are in crisis to health care, not to criminalization. Mental illness is not a crime. We have to stop treating it like it is one. I really value the work that our police do with mental health calls and their efforts to get increased training. But at the end of the day, we need to send mental health professionals to respond to calls for mental health help. And that's why I introduced the Mental Health Justice Act. This bipartisan legislation would create special mental health first responder units so that people who respond to calls about mental health crises are trained mental health professionals rather than police. This bill is going to make our communities safer. It's going to allow police to focus on public safety where their services are most needed while building deeper trust between officers and the people that they serve. Most importantly, it's going to more quickly connect people in crisis to health care. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for now, but thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your event and for asking such thoughtful questions. I commend and thank you all for being so informed and engaged. Enjoy the rest of your event. Hi everyone, this is
Thank you so much, Carl Jordan and Congresswoman Katie Porter, for such powerful call to action. That was so great. We are grateful for your time and support to be with us this morning. Can we please give it up for Carl and Congresswoman Porter in the chat? All right, thank you everyone for your support. So now we're gonna transition into the next part of the conference, entering into our workshops. Here is the list of the workshops for today. There are 3 tracks, one for youth, one for parents and guardians, and one for educators and professionals. There will be 2 sessions allowing you to participate 2 workshops within your track. Session 1 will take place from 11:30 a.m. to 12:20 p.m. and session 2 will take place from 12:30 to 1:20 p.m. We will open breakout rooms, giving you the chance to join your desired workshop under your track. After the first session is over, you will exit your breakout rooms to come back to the main room, where we will have a short intermission before transitioning to session 2, where you can then select another workshop within your track. So the order in which you see the workshops on your screen will be the order of the breakout rooms, from top to bottom. Unfortunately, Find Your Zen workshop is canceled, so Youth 3 breakout room will be Sex Ed for All, an introduction to LGBTQ plus sexual health, and Youth 4 breakout room will be Community Archives, mapping Orange County's LGBTQ plus youth through photographs. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat. And if not, please feel free to join your desired breakout rooms. Thank you, everyone. I hope to see you have an educational time and in the sessions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan. At this time, we're asking everybody to go ahead and open up the breakout rooms at the very base of your screen. Go ahead and choose any of the breakout rooms that you desire according to your track. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat. Thank you so much.